Hey.
Look at that shiny crowd. Woo!
Isn't it fun?
Oh, it's so fun. Especially when I see my two favorite bald guys. Welcome, everyone. I did hit record already, so I wouldn't forget because I've already had a glass of wine with dinner. So, when I have a little sip of wine, I might forget to hit record. So welcome, Hillary. Thanks for joining us. You look fabulous this evening. Let me just fill you in on our structure here tonight, which is really lack of structure is the fun part. So tonight we're going to have a conversation about when to go for the sale, when to make your offer. How do you know when to make that offer? How do you make that offer? Do you do it by email, messenger, face-to-face, send a postcard in the mail? What do you do? What does it look like? And what is your success rate with doing it each of those different ways? So that's what our conversation is going to center on tonight. And I want to just say thanks for being here. We have some new faces tonight, Hillary and Ian. We're going to go around the room and do our just 1 minute, 30-second, whatever works for you, who you are, what type of coach you are, and who are those ideal clients that you serve. And one of the things one of my coaches, Charlie, challenged me today to say, what are the problems you solve? So if you could add that to your spiel tonight, that would be amazing. So who you are, what type of coach, clients you serve, and what is the major problem that you solve? I think that'll be really fun. Here comes Michelle. Awesome. So let's get started with Catherine. Why don't you kick us off tonight?
Well, hello, everybody. And Suzanne, thanks so much for doing this. This is always so great. I know. How fun is this?
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah, absolutely. Catherine Chadwick here. I'm here in Manhattan. And it's interesting because my whole trajectory has been quite a progression. I'm a nurse by profession. I'm a practitioner of applied positive psychology. And I'm also a transformational coach. And what I really like about that is I talk to people about craftsmanship. I'm really a mental fitness trainer because I totally get that. I have a third-degree black belt in karate. And so I am using those metaphors as far as levels and, self-discipline and focus and all of those things coming together. And I do really help people craft lives that they want and not want to settle for, because we've been obviously programmed for a lot of things that don't serve. So the problems that I solve really are, I reintroduce people to themselves, and I actually teach them about neuroscience and how to connect with their bodies and how the body works and how they can actually be healthier.
Yeah, which is a huge problem. So I love that we have so much in common, Catherine. So for those of you just joining us, Harry, Mation, Michelle, hello. You're here for Coach Conversations. And tonight we're going to be talking about the art of making the sale, when to do it, how to do it, email, text, face-to-face, send a postcard in the mail. What do you do? How's it working for you? And we're going around the room now to just do our, 30 seconds to a minute, who you are, what type of coach you are, who you serve, and what's the major problem you solve for people. So I'm going to let Ian jump in next. Hello.
Thanks for inviting me. I appreciate that. So I'm Ian Kansky, currently located in central New Jersey, main office in Manhattan. So I guess, businesses wherever you hang your hat at this point, it doesn't really matter, right? I'm a financial coach, and literally when I go out for training for investments, it is strictly about coaching. I go to Arizona like 4 or 5 times a year, and it's about how do we be a financial coach to people? What does it mean? What is the money of meaning beyond the money itself, right? Is it freedom? Is it allowing you to have experiences? So the problem I help people with the most is giving them peace of mind forever. right? So we all look at the market for the last 4 months and it's a disaster area.
Yep.
So how do you have peace of mind around that while all of that is happening, right? You'll be able to live your life while potentially being hurt financially at the same time. So it's about coaching behavior and having peace of mind around your money.
Love it. Well, thanks for being here. Appreciate the new
I'm
addition
excited.
to our
Invited.
conversation tonight. You're welcome. And Michael Leibowitz. Hello, hello, my friend.
Hey, you when you were previewing the sales and you mentioned, send a postcard,
Uh-huh.
it made me think of like giving a prospect a torn piece of ruled paper, like in 4th grade, with the open up. It's like, do you want to buy it? Little checkbox, yes or no.
I'm gonna make
Hand
those
it back
little
across the
things.
class.
What are those little things?
Oh, right. That whole thing.
How do you do that?
Yeah. That would be
I'm
the
gonna
best
send those in the
sale
mail.
Hi, everyone. Michael Leibowitz here, Magnetic Mind Studios, the name of my company. No, I truly believe that every business has that one singular message that captures who they are so well that it resonates with their audience, differentiates them completely, and really motivates their audience to buy. So that's what I work with my clients on. They're typically coaches, consultants, people with deep expertise in a single area. And I get them saying all the right things in their marketing, their conversations, and their sales in a way that connects to the part of our brain that makes us want to buy. So what was the other part? Oh, what's the problem I solved? Yeah, you know that when you've ever talked to someone on a one-to-one, they spent 3 paragraphs telling you what they do and you still don't know? I
Mhm.
solved that.
Nice. I love it. And while everybody is doing this, don't forget to drop your either LinkedIn profile or contact information in the chat so you can all connect with each other. Welcome. Elsie is just joining us. Elsie's an amazing coach I've known for years, and we're just going around and doing our intros now. Elsie, you'll get the format as soon as my next coach friend, David Brooke, you're up next.
Thanks, Suzanne. David
Welcome.
George Brooke, that gratitude guy. I live in Seattle, Washington, and I am a life coach. I primarily get my coaching clients from my speaking. I tend to do 2 or 3 speaking events a month. Hopefully there'll be more in the future. And as I say, basically it's stressed out people that I probably help more than anything else, whether it's personal or professional. And I use this gratitude mindset, a gratitude practice, and really I wrap the whole coaching thing around how they can get a better coping mechanism that's so healthy for them in this world of incredibly destructive and deadly coping mechanisms that people use to try to deal with some of the craziness that we all have. So it seems to work pretty well because it's a pretty positive mindset. And my catchphrase is gratitude turns what you have into enough.
Love it. Well, thanks for being here this evening. And Hillary, thanks for joining us tonight.
Well, thank you, Suzanne, for having
Welcome.
me. I am Hillary Spivak, consultant with Arvon, helping people flourish with sustainable, healthy living. So my intention is to help people do their next right thing to bring more ease, less stress, and more life into their living. And what were your, I'm looking at, I wrote down what the questions are. So I serve people with skin and with digestive systems. So what I love about Arvon is it's botanical. So a lot of people have difficulty with finding things that work and that are actually helpful. So I find that that can be something. And also someone who's looking to create mindful habits and healthy eating plans. If they're looking maybe to manage weight or to have more energy or just learn to make good nutritional choices.
Well, awesome. Thanks for being here. And I want to just say that Hillary is one of the most amazing connectors that I've met in the online space. We've never met in person. That's going to change very soon, sometime this summer. But I will say she is so much of a wellness educator before selling products that go with it. So I want to just say it's rare that I find somebody who does sell products that does such a good job with the wellness educating. So just hats off, Hillary, you're amazing. All right, Mr. Harry, thanks for joining us tonight. How are you?
I'm great. I wasn't sure how I got here. I think it was through Chris Michelle. I saw this calendar invite just
Yep.
pop up and I went, what's this all about? So
Oh,
when I
well, way
jumped
to
in, I
jump
said,
in.
yeah. So
Way to jump in.
yeah, I recognize Mike O'Neill. So great to meet you all. As my name says on my little image here, it's pronounced Spate. I'm an author of a book called Selling with Dignity. And I really help people who suck at sales and want to be better, and those who think they're really good and just don't know that they're not good. So those types of people, that's who I help.
I love it. I love it. Well, I'm sure you're going to drop some wisdom on us this evening with our topic of conversation. So,
Coincidentally, yeah, I guess I landed on the right time, huh?
yeah, see, the universe works wonders for me that way. So it's about trusting. All right, Michelle Robinson. Hello, hello.
Hi, not sure if you can hear me because I'm hearing.
Oh, she's not here. Wonderful. All right, well, she'll be back. Let's have Elsie. Who you are, what type of coach you are, who you serve, problem you solve.
I don't know what's happening. I keep cutting in and out. My internet is really bad. I am Michelle Robinson. I'm a financial coach
Okay.
as well. And I also help people manage their attitudes and behaviors around money. I love the tagline of gratitude. I forget, I'm sorry, I forget exactly what it is because I've been distracted by my in and out internet. But you know, I help people feel like they have enough by being grateful for what they have. You know, and help them understand that money is just a tool for them to use. And you know, what matters more is what's happening inside your money house than what's happening globally. So I help people manage that and figure all that out so they can put their heads on the pillow comfortably at night.
Wonderful. Well, you kind of cut in and you disappeared from our screen, but now you're back.
Sorry.
So that's okay. All right, Elsie, sorry about that. Your turn, my friend.
Okay, yeah. So hi, everyone. I am new to this, but I've known Suzanne for a long time. And I am an energy intuitive. And what I do is really teach people energy medicine practices that help them with stress, anxiety, how to handle that in a very easy way with tools that are available to them 24/7. So I love the work I do. And I also do a lot of teaching and online wellness classes as well. Yeah.
Well, I'm honored that you are here. And I want to just add that Elsie is a world-renowned educator. I took Reiki level 1 with Elsie years ago, and she was instrumental in me changing careers and trusting my instincts. So I'm forever grateful to her. So thank you for what you do. Love you with my whole heart. Thanks for being here.
Mhm.
Yeah. And Charlie.
Hello, group. It's sunny in Philadelphia today, folks. Of
Yes,
those
it
that don't live here, it's sunny in Philadelphia. So thank you very much for having me, Suzanne. I appreciate it very, very much. Listen, you all chose coaching as your career. Many people are struggling to figure out what should my next career be, let alone my calling in life. I help them with that particular problem. So what I try to do with them is try to take a deep dive. I'm a human archaeologist, which means I go inside to discover their superpowers, the things that may be getting in their way of success, and helping them put together some kind of a game plan to get to where they need to go to have the impact they want to have. I work with purpose-driven people. They want to make a difference in life. I help them do that. Charlie Timmons.
Thank you, Charlie. It was great to spend time with you today. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
And Coach Mation, welcome.
Hey, everybody. Thanks, STK, for having this wonderful container for us coaches. I am H. McDonald. I'm a strategic business coach, award-winning coach. I'm also a best-selling author. I've written 5 books, and I've been, for the last 20 years, enjoying the privilege of being able to work with small business owners and helping them triple their leads, double their sales, and have more fun. And the way that I kind of say it is I get to help people, business owners bring their A game to their hero's journey and get to that next level. And to Michael Leibowitz's point earlier, I'm going to pass this around to see if anybody wants to fill out
Do you,
this.
do you like me? Yes or no? I love it. I love it.
Let's have some fun, everybody.
Yeah, let's have some fun. This is going to be great. And one more, item A. Hello, hello. How are you? Oh,
I'm good.
there she is. So say hello, who you are, what you do, what type of coach you're becoming. And since I know that you're in the process of becoming, and what you solve for your clients. And
So what I'm doing right now is I work full-time for a health insurance plan as a data analyst, but I also go to school full-time. And what I'm going to end up with is a Master's of Science in Integrative and Functional Medicine with concentrations in nutrition, lifestyle, and cannabinoid sciences. So cannabinoid sciences has really ended up being super, super, super exciting for me. And my husband and I both own a behavioral health practice. So our plans are, once I have my master's degree, I'll be joining him in the practice to work with people as a cannabis coach, mentor, educator, to teach people how to use THC and CBD to dose properly, because a lot of people don't dose it properly. We're finding out in the practice that most people are just, smoking a joint to get high instead of smoking it to get to a therapeutic level for their anxiety and their pain and etc. So that's where I'm headed.
I love it. Well, thanks for joining us here tonight. And Mike, it looks like you're out of the car and back in the house. Say hello.
Hey, everybody. I'm speaking to you from Dalton, Georgia. And my way to coaching is I started in human resources and spent 25 years providing HR support to fast-growing manufacturing companies. For the last 10 years, I've been in consulting capacity, helping HR organizations primarily with training and strategic planning. But these same clients have said, Mike, we could use your help as a coach. So I'm learning how to be a coach from y'all. So I'm coming to the coaching new to the game. But if you were to ask, what are the problems I can help clients solve? I focus primarily on growing manufacturers who are experiencing growing pains. And those growing pains more often than not are due to people problems. So it's a beautiful way to kind of marry of running a growing business. So that hopefully answers all the questions I was supposed to answer.
Yeah, that was great. Thank you.
Okay, you bet.
All right. And I'm your host, STK, Suzanne Taylor King, and I'm a life and mental performance coach for entrepreneurs. And my focus is really on the self-awareness, emotional intelligence, and positivity of entrepreneurs. It can be a lonely space. And for coaches in particular, that's why I created this container. So I'm so happy that you are here. I'm going to share a link in the comments to my Idea Lab community. And one of the things that really drives me to create the community for entrepreneurs and to create this space for you as coaches is to bring that experience I have to the table, create these conversations that nobody's having on social media. It's so rare that you'll find someone who's actually telling the truth, saying it like it is, and being real on social media, because it's all about the image, the thing you portray, this perfect practice, this, $1 million thing that you have running. And typically it's not like that for most coaches. We're figuring it out. We're figuring out sales. We're figuring out client attraction. We're figuring out your signature program. And that's one of my superpowers. One of the things I love to do is help entrepreneurs and coaches figure out their signature offering and be able to put that together in a systemized way. And so today, part of your signature offer is being able to freaking sell it, right? We need to speak it. We need to translate it to our ideal client, to their pain points and to their desires. And sometimes that means verbalizing things. And I'm not perfect at this by any means, but sometimes it means verbalizing what they want and then giving them what they need to get there. And that might look a little different than the program outline that's typically out there. So let's open up the floor. And first, my first question to ponder is, how do you turn a connection? So somebody who follows you, somebody who's on your email list, been there for a while, maybe somebody who you're friends with on Facebook or LinkedIn. How do you open up the door and start to have that conversation about how you can help them? Machen says, be interested versus interesting. I like it. Say more about that.
Well,
But I'm
that-
always interested. Damn it.
we
Damn
know
it.
that. But though, for those of us that can't be or aren't, we've got to go the other route. This comes from the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. It's timeless and it's so true, right? It's, you know, people love to feel important, witnessed, heard, seen, right? Besides food, oxygen, water, and touch, we all have that need to be seen and understood. So not a lot of us have people in our lives that we get that. So if we provide that, that's going to provide a connection that we can start to build that relationship on. And so one of the questions that I asked, you know, as a business coach that gets people going, and all I have to do is kind of keep my mouth shut, sit back and listen and enjoy the show. One of the questions is, what are you looking to more fully develop in your business? And another great question is, what's the one thing that would make everything else easier? And I get so much mileage just on those two questions to deepen the connection. And inevitably what usually happens is they talk for 20 or 30 minutes and then they'll say, you know, gosh, you know, you're so smart, or you're so intelligent, or you're so brilliant. I'm like, I didn't say anything. You were the one talking.
I shared the first question. You said, what are you looking to more fully develop in your business? What was the second one?
What's the one thing that if you figured that out or got that handled would make everything else so much easier? Because we all know either consciously or unconsciously what our biggest bottlenecks are, but we've got a story around why, you know, it's too expensive or too time consuming, or we don't know enough or can do enough to do it. And it's like, you know, don't buy into that. I see on Charlie's desk the book Gap and Gain, right? That's Dan Sullivan's book, right? He's got his other book, which is Who, Not How. So rather than trying to figure out how to do something, find the who that can do it for you. And
Yeah.
oftentimes there's ways to barter or trade if you don't have the financial resources. And if you have the financial resources, it probably makes sense to invest some money.
Yeah. Well, make sure you save the chat, because I'm going to try to drop wisdom bombs in the chat. So, you know, make sure you save it, and you'll have everybody's contact information as well as the link to join the community. I love that. I that's definitely a homework spot for me, is that questioning piece at the beginning of a call, or the beginning of a networking. You're just getting to know somebody, and really standing out as that person who could solve problems for them, not only be a great connection or connector, like Machen is an awesome connector. He's introduced me to more people than at least two hands full of people. But he also brings that authority to the table because you show up like that. So I love that. Anything else to add there?
Yes, I would like to just, reinforce what Machen had said about the listening.
Mhm.
because, people always give clues as to what their longings and their discontents are. And so there's usually a place in there that there is a solution, right? And the other thing to think about too is that the solution of, the vibration of the problem is not the same as the vibration of the solution. So, bringing that around to that other side of the table is really important as well.
Mm, I like that. And I'm wondering if Elsie has anything to say about the energy and vibration of somebody in stress, in problem versus somebody in the solution space. Oh, you're on mute, Elsie.
Certainly when we're in stress, it's very hard to think because, of course, all the blood leaves the forebrain. So you can either, run or take flight, whatever, or fight. And so, one of the things I tell kids, if you're taking a test and you can't remember the answer, just come up here to the oh my God points, because that'll bring blood back into the forebrain and you can think. But it's all about building resilience. And that's kind of a forever thing that we need to do in business, is building that resilience so that we can stand in the stress and balance it with whatever needs to happen. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. Any other tips for being in that space of solving problems? Yeah, Charlie.
I just want to clarify the way you posed the first question. I have somebody who's been following me.
Mm-hmm.
They're interesting. I want to reach out and start a conversation to learn more about them and for them to learn more about me. Is that correct?
Yes.
So the question is, how do I move them from just being a connection to somebody having a conversation?
Yes.
Right? Because everything that's been said seems to me to be appropriate to, hey, I'm having that conversation. What you're saying is, I got 1,000 people that I think I may be able to help, but nobody's talking to me. Nobody's getting back to me. Nobody's engaging me in a conversation.
Yeah, good distinction. Yeah.
We all have that problem. We all do. I think we all do. But
Yeah.
anyway.
Do we all? Do we all?
We
Let's
all do.
confess right now. Do we all? Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so will all the liars please put down their hand?
Yeah.
Anyway, but that to me is the real challenge. And somebody like Mike, who's a master of magnetic words, correct, Mike? That, what's causing them, either with a voicemail we leave, or a video message, or an email, or a tweet, whatever, that would motivate those people to say, now's the time for me to engage with Catherine or Elsie. So that's what I would like to know.
Yeah. Who's got some tips there? Go ahead, Mage. Dropping the wisdom bombs.
Well, I think what's been helpful for me is to have a deep clarity of who my ideal client is. And when we know who our ideal client is, we typically know what are their main problems. What are they bumping up against? What are they trying to figure out? And then also, what's the outcome that they want that they don't have? And so, like to Charlie's point in the clarification, thank you, by the way, if we're trying to reach out to somebody on LinkedIn, or we get introduced to somebody and we know what they do, and they might be kind of in the range of who the people that we help. One of the things that I do is I just lead into, like, if I was coming into this group, I might say, hey, I was talking with a few other coaches and they were telling me that they struggle with A, they worry about B, and they're constantly bumping up against C. Is that anything you're ever dealing with? And that usually lands and they're like, yeah, I'm trying to figure this out. And then we just get into a discussion. And for me as a coach, a lot of coaches or salespeople, even, soon as they hear something that sounds like it's a fit, for product or service, they're like, whoa, and it's like, no. So it's kind of like, just keep asking the question, stay curious, right? For me, It's really about staying curious in the conversation for as long as I can before I ever offer up that I can be a resource for them.
Yeah, I think that's an important distinction. And what I like so much about, the Prosperous Coach method and, the way you kind of do things, we've had many conversations about this. I find that I'm so interested in the person that I don't necessarily ask the business questions. I'm more interested in, what are you doing in your free time? Are you surfing? Are you snowboarding? What kind of music do you like? And that building rapport piece might actually overshadow the other parts of the conversation. So that's a good reminder for me. Catherine, you came from healthcare as well. Very good at building instant rapport with your patients. How have you transitioned from one into selling yourself?
Well, it's really interesting because it's got to be an organic conversation. Because when I think about some the coaching that I've had, and not from anyone here, in regard to marketing and selling, I could break out into a cold sweat. It's just like, it's not me. What am I supposed to do with that, right? And so it's just like, it's got to be a conversation, and I have to and it might take me 2 conversations. I don't feel any pressure to have to make an offer on the first, second, third, or even the 4th conversation. I don't feel it just has to be a natural. And I would have to say that I'm not very aggressive about it. I do give myself the win of becoming more assertive, of making a point of how I can help someone. And so that's been a step in the right direction. But as far as, what people refer to as selling in the beginning, it was just like, oh, wow, okay, this is not me. So it's way more about listening, how I can help. And whenever that comes about, that's okay with me.
All right. How about, I want to get back to, how do you get people to that initial conversation, whether it's networking, whether it's, right now I have 8,000 followers on LinkedIn. What do I do with them? How do I start getting those people into conversations if I'm not meeting them at networking meetings, if they're just connections? What are some of your suggestions? What have you tried? What's worked? What doesn't work?
Well, what I'm finding is like your Idea Lab. There are several other smaller groups that I'm becoming connected with, that you can gain some familiarity and really understand what people are looking for. And then if those people understand what I can provide for them, then it's more of a cohesive group that is looking to lift each other up and promote each other. It's all about the connection, the conversation, and it has to come from the inside out, because none of this stuff on the outside works.
Truly. I mean, I had 10 messages today in my DMs of people wanting to scale my business, get me leads. They don't even know what my business is, because obviously you haven't read my profile, but it's fun. Like, I'm curious who that works with. Does that work with anybody here in this room? When somebody messages you, how are you? Can you currently take more coaching clients? Duh. What? Really? How many of you even answer those messages? So I don't want to be one of those people, right? I don't want to be sending those messages. What are your
thoughts? I don't even take requests from people who haven't even bothered to make a note.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, no, I don't get those DMs. I just
Really?
vibe out, don't bother me somehow. I never get them.
Interesting. So maybe it's who else doesn't get them?
Just
Who
me.
else?
No, I get them all the time. I don't know what it is about me that attracts them or who they're connected to.
Mhm.
There must be some kind of algorithm somewhere that connects the
Mhm.
dots and say, hey, this guy would be open to a pitch on unless it's such. Maybe it's I went to a website or something and they grab that information. I don't know, whatever it is, but I don't respond to them. You know, and if it happens to me enough on LinkedIn, I'll just report them,
Yeah.
you know.
So how do we, or how would you go about messaging someone as a coach who you know you could help, right? And you want to have a conversation, you want to get to know this other person because you know you could help them.
Mhm.
Do you do that? Or do you just have conversations with everybody? I think we have to be a little bit more discerning, correct?
I'll reach out to someone if I see they've made a post or a comment that was insightful.
Mhm.
And I won't DM them. I'll just reply to their post or their comment with that was really cool. And most of my replies are I try to make them more of a question rather than, hey, that was interesting, right? And next thing I know, it says, hey, so-and-so checked out your profile. And then, hey, so-and-so replied to your comment. And we start having a mini conversation, like real quick, maybe like 2 or 3, not, we don't want to hijack someone else's post, right?
Right.
And one or the other of us will say, hey, let's just connect here and look forward to reading your stuff. And if there's something else that's interesting about them, I'll just say like, I just read your profile a lot more carefully and this is really cool. And if it's something I want to learn about, I'll literally say, hey, would you mind getting on a call together? I want to ask you about X, Y, and Z.
Mhm.
That's it.
Yeah.
Right.
That's it. New friend.
Love it.
True.
Right? New referral partner. You know?
Well, and I think that is really important because I have a lot of new connections, and it's really on the guys on the up and up level of being a referral partner. Let's learn about each other. Let's learn how to, have you in mind. So when I meet Joe over here, that I can say, oh my gosh, you need to meet Larry or, whatever.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the beauty of it all.
Yeah, Charlie.
Suzanne, I want to build on what Catherine said a few minutes ago. The author Dan Pink wrote a book called To Sell is Human. And in there he says you can't sell anything to anybody anymore. What you have to do is move them from a particular point of view to your point of view. And you have to ease that process. You cannot sell them because people are so wired that when they feel that they just shut down. So for example, right, you have all these people in your database, and if you wrote an article about a particular thing that your ideal client would be interested in, and then you send an email to all those people and simply said, hey, I put this article, I'd love you to comment on it or share it with people, etc. You're forcing them to look at your content, which hopefully resonates with them.
Mm-hmm.
Like May said, if you know who your ideal client is, you know exactly the words that are going to trigger in their minds to pay attention, etc. And then that happens a series of times. People now associate you with that even more because you're top of mind. It's a top of mind kind of a thing, Suzanne. So I'm a recovering salesperson. I admit it. I'm recovering. I wish I never did it. I ruined so many lives, but I have to make good with the time I have left. So it's moving people to your particular point of view. It's a great concept. And we're all professional service providers. And the best thing we can do for people is educate them. The Google machine will teach them 90% of what they need to know to make a decision. We're filling in the difference. We're that subject matter expert that knows more than they do because they're working with their heads down and they're not paying attention to what's going on until it's too late. And there we are as a beacon of light that can shed some light on this issue that they're having. They want to be able to turn to us to be able to do that. So you may have a conversation with them, but it may not lead to that deeper conversation where you might be able to help them. But again, then you're saying to that person, do you know anybody that could benefit from a conversation like this? So you just have to keep the ball going. So again, so I apologize to everybody that I sold something to.
Was it something awesome?
But no, the people that bought, congratulations. But the people I sold, I apologize. I apologize.
Well, I used to be great at selling crowns and root canals. So
well, they're in the chair. They can't do anything. So what are you talking
that's
about?
the beauty of it, right? They couldn't talk. They couldn't do anything. They couldn't escape. You know, it was great. But, you know, transfer that into the world of coaching. It was really a different animal to kind of learn the dance of, you know, serving people deeply, not just being their friend, but being that strategic advisor, partner, role model for them. All right, next question. What's your favorite mode of communication for those ideal clients? Do you prefer, you know, in social media, in the comments? Do you prefer direct messaging people? How's your email game? And do you do any texting or phone calls? No, none of it. Michael's like, no, that,
I don't like any of those.
I literally mind meld my clients.
What I do,
and tell them to
I
order.
prefer a lot of sales tools, and I've been working on one since the conversation started. So I have my newest sales tool. And then when you open it, it tells them what they need to do.
Oh, you will buy my shit. I love it. Could you make me one of those?
I'll send you this one.
Thank you.
No, I'm a big believer in you lean into your strengths. I get this question from time to time from my clients, because after we work together on the messaging, the value articulation, it's like, now how do we they will usually ask me like, oh, what should I do? And my next question is, I don't know. What are you good at? Right? Where are you comfortable? Do you like writing? Great. Blog posts, right? Do you like having conversations? Fantastic. Networking, podcast. Right? How are you on video? Do you like being in front of the camera? Yeah, I'm good. Great video, right? Lean into where you feel most comfortable and where you're strongest. Me, I like talking to people and I like being on camera. Guess what my two main modes of connecting with people are: networking and producing videos, right? I'm mediocre at writing and I don't like doing it. Guess what I don't do?
Yeah.
A lot of blog posts or posts like that, right? I don't like texting or calling on the phone. My audio channel for learning is my weakest one. So on the phone, I'm like, disembodied voice. I have to move. I have to actually walk around when I'm on the phone to get physicality going.
Yes.
But I'm terrible on the phone. I'm like, no, I don't want to be on the phone with you, right?
Yeah.
So I don't go on the phone. Lean into what feels comfortable for you.
And Mason said his favorite is whatever the client is. So if the client opens all the emails, they're the ones you email. If they like to communicate on social media, that's what you're doing. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Follow their lead.
Their eyeballs are somewhere. My job's to be wherever their eyeballs are.
Yeah.
Legit point.
Yeah.
So if they're on
But
email,
I totally agree with what
email.
you said, Michael. It's like the energy is going to go where my strengths are. You know, like for you, it's the video and the talking. You know, I like writing. I write a ton. So that's a medium that I use on a lot of levels.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
I mean, speaking of leaning into your strength, early on, I had trouble getting clients because what I do is kind of unique and singular as far as how I deliver it. You've experienced it, Suzanne. So how do you describe that, right? So that's why
I
That's
don't
why I
know.
created
It's
my
like an
workshop.
extraction process.
Yeah. Well, I know my background is behavioral neurology, which is a therapeutic technique. And so I'm literally doing therapy on your business through you, right? And so I figured out, well, I want people experiencing it. Hence, I created a workshop that's a really low cost of entry. Do it once a month. In fact, it's every third Wednesday of the month.
Mhm.
That was today. This is why I always roll into this meeting feeling good, because I love doing the workshop. I get to be on camera and I get to be talking to people. Guess what? My two favorite things to do.
And oh my gosh, I just thought of an amazing tagline for you. Have
Yeah.
you been in therapy forever and still haven't figured out your business? Maybe it's your business that needs therapy.
That's cute. I like it.
Oh, you're welcome.
So, no, I just created the vehicle that I felt really good about inviting people to.
Mhm.
So I can actually give them some value. It's an introduction into my world, right? So everyone's got their own world that they're creating. That's their business. How do you introduce people into your world? Well, I created a really low bar to entry. It's just 2 hours of your time. You get a ton of value out of it and lots of interaction. And there's a definite, it's not just a learning thing. There's a definite outcome that comes from
Yeah.
this whole experience. And that's the top of my funnel. I guess technically inviting them is the top of my funnel, but
Mhm.
once they're in there, after that, what I do is I have a QR code saying, hey, I'm offering you a 30-minute call to continue the work we just started here. And then I'm honest with them. I said, in that call, we're going to spend 20 minutes on your business. In the last 10 minutes, I'm simply going to ask you, how do you feel about working together? We're going to have that conversation. They know it's coming, right? So when they opt in, they have already said yes to a conversation about doing business together.
I like that. Yeah.
Takes all the pressure off of, am I in a sales conversation?
And it positions you as the authority, like the leader, like the it's not a controlling way, but it's this is what I do and this is how the call is going to go, and I love that.
It works really well. My sales pipeline is short.
We can fix that.
I'd be happy to have it more complicated, Mage. In fact, that's why I want to hire you. Can you complicate the crap out of my business so it's unworkable?
Yeah, we can
We'll
make
turn
that
up the
funnel
frustration meter.
6
See,
months long.
I was channeling Mage when I came up with this. This should complicate things enough.
Yeah. All right, next question. Does anybody else have anything to add so far? Okay. So next question, and I posed this question to one of my favorite people who spoke to this group a couple months ago, Pablo Gonzalez. I asked him, because he's a big community builder. I'm in his community. I participate in his community and I show up in his community. And he shows up in mine, which is kind of cool. And I asked him, what do you think is more powerful, having your own community or participating like a rock star in someone else's community? And his answer was yes.
Yeah.
Do whatever works for you, or do both. But whatever you do, show up with quality like a rock star. Be the giver, be the connector, and that'll benefit you in the long run. Whether the community's 5 people, 12 people, or 150 or 1,000 people, it's possible to stand out. So what do you do in community, whether you're in my community, whether you have your own community? What do you do to stand out and set yourself apart from all the other coaches?
Ask questions, get curious. Someone says something that you're like, ooh, wait a second, how come?
Mm-hmm.
Constantly asking people, how come? Wait, what was that? How come that works that way? Or why did you use that word and not this word?
Mhm.
I like that.
Constantly asking people about their expertise.
I think Michael is right, like get on the court, right? So let's have the conversation. And then I related to what you said earlier, Suzanne, about asking too many situational questions. Like, I want to know where you've been, where you went, who you're friends with, and, you know, all of that. And then
Yeah.
you get to ask them what the problem is, right? Like, why are we having this conversation thing?
Mhm.
And then when they say something, just don't be like, oh, okay, I got that. But then, like Michael said, ask the next question. Like, okay, that's a pretty big problem. Why is that a problem? You know, and then do the listening part, which I think Matron was saying earlier, right? Implement as much listening as possible. 30 minutes of listening means that you had a really good meeting.
Mm. Well, Ian, I love your emails, your keep in touch emails. Could you talk a little bit about that philosophy?
So I guess I'm kind of a hybrid between Michael and Matron, where like
Yeah.
I like to write a little bit, but not a whole lot. And I like to be on video, but again, not necessarily a whole lot. And I don't know how well I show up on a videotape. So I have a list, and you know, Michael Goldberg kind of encouraged me to do this. He has a list as well. And there's about 50 or so people on my list. And every day I will go through my tasks and then write an email to each individual person. Some of it is a little repeat, or I'll change it like once a month at least, but some of it's a little repeat. But everybody that I write to, I then tailor it to them, because we've had some conversation or they've replied to me. So I continue to try and keep people top of mind to the point where I feel that they want my help, because they may not want my help in the beginning, but they also may not know me yet. So it takes a long time to get to know somebody. Example, so I met the director of the Arc of Monmouth County like 2 years ago. And we've been talking from time to time. We went to the outing, you know, this. And then last week I decided it was time, and I sent her an email, and I thought for sure she'd be like, yeah, no. And then we had the golf committee meeting, and she's like, hey, Ian, can you stay on, you know, after the meeting? And she was like, yes, I'd like your help. So, you know, just at some point, because she replies to all my emails, I get her. So like if I send you like 6 emails or so, like over 6 months or so, and you never respond to me, then I take you off the list. But she was always responding. And then at one point I felt it was time, and I asked her, so, you know, now we'll take it to the next step.
Love it.
So
Love it. They feel very, very natural, very organic. They come at just the right interval for me to say, oh yeah, Ian.
right. Like,
You know?
you remember who I am, but
Yeah.
I'm just on the cusp of being forgotten. So,
Yeah.
right in there.
Yeah. Good job.
Ian, can you clarify? I think I heard you said if there's 50 people on your list, what is the frequency that you try to reach out to those 50?
So it will depend, right, on the type of relationship we're building. So in the beginning, like let's just say we have a face-to-face meeting, I'll probably put it 10 days out for the first one. And then after the first one, I'll move it out to like 30 days and probably do it another 30 days. And then I'll move it out to like 2 months. And then if I don't hear from you, typically I'll put it on like every 3 months for a little while. And if I don't hear from you by the end of the year, like, I'll just move you off the list. So they're not always the same, but like Suzanne replies to me. So like I'll keep her between 6 and 8 weeks so that, you know, we're always touching base. And then in between we see each other at events.
Mhm.
So it's never like, oh, right, I haven't seen Suzanne in a really long time. She sees me, she goes, oh, there's Ian. I go, oh, there's Suzanne, you know, which is a nice thing. And then at some point in the future, Suzanne may say to me, I want your help, or I know somebody who can use your help, because now she feels that she can trust me. And it takes a really long time to build that trust, at least in my business. And I will add one more thing, if you don't mind, about the lead generation thing.
Mhm.
So my profile is a magnet for that. And every once in a while, I will take a meeting with one just to reinforce the fact that they're not helpful. And what I find is if their leads were so good, then they would open up their own IRA and do their own investing and do their own insurance and do their own savings plans, because what would they need me for? So, you know, I just haven't been able to find anyone who's willing to do things on a paid for performance basis. If you show me a lead, closes, you know, you want to be insurance license or securities license, I'm happy to share. So, but, you know, nobody wants to do that. So I guess the leads aren't so good. So, you know, every once in a while I bet one though.
Okay, thanks for that. Yeah, Charlie.
Along those lines, I subscribe to several book summary services,
Yes.
right? And what I'll do is I like to give people gifts. So what I'll do is if I'm talking to David Brooke, for example, and I know what he's interested in, what he's excited about, etc., I'm going to say, okay, I want to do a search of what particular books is he interested in or might be interested in. I'll go to these summaries, I'll find one and I'll email it to him and say, David, I think this is relevant to our conversation. Tell me what you think, right? I'll do that periodically as a way of reminding them. So I'm literally giving them something. I don't have to write a lot. I just have to connect between what their interests are, what their passions are, and anything that can help educate them more and make them more effective in the work they're doing.
Yeah. So if you don't mind, Charlie, this years ago, I was at a breakfast meeting with the CPA and we're just talking about stuff. And he goes to me, you know, do you like to read? I go, yeah, I read all these business books. He goes, have you read Good to Great? I'm like, oh no, I haven't read Good to Great. And like literally like 2 weeks later, it showed up in the mail, like
There
the
you go.
box. Like I loved getting the box and the whole thing. And that had never happened to me before. I thought it was the greatest thing next to sliced bread. So what you're doing, I think, is just completely
I love that. I've experienced that. It's fantastic. I've experienced, like, I get an email, hey, they sent me the Kindle version. I'm like, hell yeah. Right?
Yeah.
That's it. They care about you, Michael. Therefore you care. Therefore you're going to care about them. That's what it's about.
Exactly.
Somebody sent me not who, but not how. Who, but not how. Right? Who,
Yeah.
how.
It's a great
They sent me
book.
the
Who,
Kindle.
Not
It
How?
was great. I listened
Who,
to
Not
it
How.
like in 3 days. I thought it was awesome.
Yep, it is.
Yeah. Who,
I
Not
love
How
it.
was awesome.
Yeah,
I love
it's one of the staples of good business development alongside E-Myth and so on and so forth.
Yeah, and when you're in a conversation with somebody and you said, have you heard of this concept called who, not how? No, what's that all about? Suddenly you become this window on a whole new way of looking at business. You must be pretty smart. I'd like to learn more about what you can do to help me.
Yeah.
So after I listened to that book, that created a new future for me. And what happened was I got introduced to a sister agency like mine out in Texas that said, hey, listen, for a small piece of the business, you can use my back office and we'll do applications for you. We'll set up meetings, we'll follow things. So all of a sudden, I didn't have to do all of that anymore. And now I can focus on doing what I like doing best, which is getting to know people.
There you go.
Oh, I love that too.
That's beautiful. Thank you.
All right. Well, we're about ending our time here together, and I want to just leave you with a little story from my networking event last night. And this is what I love to do. This is my favorite way of meeting, providing value, and really showing up powerfully for somebody. And if I could do this 20 times a day, I'd be so happy. I got introduced to a young guy, probably in his 20s. He was taking over his dad's mortgage business, and his dad brought him to the networking event to kind of, introduce him to it. And I said, do you have a business card? And it turns out he's from my hometown, and he hands me this card with just a QR code on it. So I knew exactly what to do. I pulled out my phone, I scanned the QR code. He's right into my phone now. He was kind of impressed. He didn't have to explain how to do it, which that was cool. It made me feel a little younger for a second. And he's like, God, I tell everybody about this card. And I said, awesome. Are you part of their affiliate program? And he was like, huh? What's that?
Yeah.
I said, well, how many people do you tell about this? He's like, literally everyone I meet, and the card's $20 and you only have to buy one. And I said, well, let's look at their website really quick. And I went on my phone, went to the website. I said, look down the bottom, partner program. You just send them an email and they'll send you your own code to share with people. And I guarantee you they monetarily compensate you. And he was like, dude, you just made me money.
Yep.
And he's like, I respect that so much. I love revenue streams. I'm like, well, if you ever want to talk revenue streams, I got notebooks full of ideas. Here's my card. It's old fashioned, but here's my card. And
Yeah.
he already
you say,
called me.
hold on, you get out a Sharpie, start drawing a QR code on it.
Stop.
There you go.
Stop. No, but he already called me today because he was so excited by
Yeah.
what I taught him about affiliate programs,
Great.
which isn't what I do, but it's how I
Right.
built the
Yeah,
relationship.
it's relationship building.
Yeah.
There you go. That's great.
Yeah. All right. So last thing, book summaries. I'm a huge fan. I have 4 different book summary memberships. And if you join the Idea Lab community and you are interested in book summaries, that's what the Idea Lab newsletter is going to be. Once a
neat.
week, we'll have a new book summary. This week is Conquering Procrastination. And if you're interested in that, join the community and we'll get you started on those notes, and you can look through them and get the updates every week to that. And if you have
I'll
any
look at those
questions-
later. Thanks.
What? Look at those
I'll look
later.
at those later. Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can look
Yeah.
at those later.
You're not going to get around to it.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay. I'll
Listen, that
send you the
TV's not going to
audio
watch
version.
itself.
I'll send you the audio version.
Yeah. Suzanne,
Yeah.
you put together a great show today. I
you.
think I'll speak for myself. I don't know about the others, but it's great. So I have one question for you.
Mhm.
What can we as a community do to help you make more money?
Nice.
Oh, if you know anybody who's like you, who is
I'm 1 in 12 million. So no, you're not going to meet anybody like me.
well, entrepreneurs that have the energy of this room, have the energy of learning together, growing together, sharing information, connecting other people. I want to meet them. I want them invited to your community. So the Idea Lab is not just my community. I want my members, which is a free membership, but I want people to feel like it's their community. You have input, you have say, you can share. So people like you, I want to meet more of those people.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you. Any other questions or anything before we wrap up?
Thank you, Suzanne. This is another fantastic meeting.
So
Yep.
well.
Look forward to these every month.
Next month, let me just make those announcements because you're going to want to write down July on Wednesday, July 20th is the amazing Dr. Dorothy Martin Neville talking about energy and how you show up as a coach, how it affects what you charge and how you serve your clients. And in
Guys, you're not
August,
going to want to miss that.
you're
Dorothy
not
is
going to want to miss
amazing.
that. Not going to want to miss that. And in August, Michael Pacheco, is that how you pronounce it, Mike O'Neill?
Pacheco.
Pacheco will be here talking about his conversations with coaches. So that's going to be fun. Conversations with coaches, talks to the guy who does conversations with coaches. That's going to be really fun. So that's in
Awesome.
August. So mark your
Coach
calendars.
Conversation squared.
Squared. Yes.
Right on.
All right.
Thanks
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you.